Welcome to You'll Never Walk Alone here, the Div 5 podcast. Terry Tam Ocon on this gorgeous Thursday night into Friday morning. Well, we're only 4 hours away from Friday.
Yeah.
Anyway, point being is that this is the Div 5 podcast. You'll Never Walk Alone. Before we dive into this podcast, a reminder to all of our teams out there in Div 5 and across the FPF landscape. Starting this week is week 5, and if you want your players to be eligible, they need to play a minimum of 6 games. So if you want to add someone new to your roster, they have to play every game here on in. So don't forget about that. So every game from here on in, you have to play to be eligible. Yep. Our Twitter handles, Terry Tam at FPF, at MoCon19, at Eagle FPF as well. So you want to tweet at us, you can, especially at Eagle FPF. It's now time for the opening drive, and we'll dive into the first game. Golden Flashes versus KGP Light. Flashes win 19-18. Yannick Dotson, 3 TDs, 3 INTs. Garber, 3 TDs, and he had 3 INTs. Picking off Yannick Dotson.
3 times as well.
That's right.
I watched that game. It's a pretty good game.
Flashes. I saw them play last week against Venom. Not really much of a competition. Yeah. Are they a contender, yes or no?
No, I don't think so. I think that they played against a very weak KGP Light team. I mean, now the KGP has. I hope they keep Dylan Garber at quarterback because he's honestly a lot better.
Better than Neil Korber.
He's much better than Neil Korber is. No offense to Neil Korber. I mean, Dylan Garber, he's all around the field. He understands the game. You can tell he likes to move a lot. He moves around a lot and he runs really well. I just think that if for me to consider Golden Flashes a contender, they can't throw 3 interceptions against KGP Light.
Especially one guy picking them off 3 times.
One guy picking them off.
Dylan Garber.
Yeah, exactly. You avoid that side of the ball, whatever the case may be. They have a lot of weapons. I mean, they have big bodies. They just couldn't take advantage. The fact is that it was towards the last drive of the game where they had to get a stop. They did. They ended up winning the game. Good for them. I'm just not impressed with the Golden Flashes. Very athletic though.
So you don't see them running the table at all?
Not at all.
I saw them play last week, and I won't use the Venom as the ultimate measuring stick because no one can.
Venom's not that good, though.
No, they shouldn't be in Div 5 anyway. No. But I see flashes, no pun intended. Okay, we use that term. Lights, and flashes. But they have talent to work with. I think their defense is very opportunistic. They've made plays on that side of the football. Yep. A lot of pick sixes, need I say. If they're going to run the table, I think it's going to be their defense that will win them a lot of games or get them momentum going into the second half or at a critical point of the game.
Their defense is good enough to keep them in games as long as Yannick Dawson does not turn over the ball. And he has a very bad habit of turning the ball over. Very bad habit.
I believe their uniforms are based after Kent University.
Maybe. That's pretty cool. I like the uniforms.
We'll get the logo up there. Eagle can do that. KGP Light, we talked about their quarterback. Dylan Garber, 3 TDs against them.
Yeah.
Is he the guy that they'll say, look, we're not going to pull you and put someone else in, say, week 8?
I think they should. I mean, I don't know if Neil Korber was missing that game. I didn't really notice. Those are really nice. They look like Atlanta Thrashers jerseys.
They do a little bit, yes.
But all I'm saying is, I think Garber should be the quarterback going forward. He spread the ball out really well. He was able to use his feet. Very impressed. The only thing is, I just don't think that Korber can make them win games. Like we said at the beginning of the season, to win this season, to make it to the playoffs, either 6 games or 5-4-1, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, they have a slight possibility of making it to the playoffs, and it's only with Garber, not Korber.
Junkyard Dogs versus the U, and we're not talking about the Miami Hurricanes. This is the U in the FPF. JYD wins 40-32. Jason Rossi, 5 TD passes. Dustin White, 4 TD passes. Honey Badger, Jacob Burnett, 77 yards and 1 TD. Shaq Lattimore,
shake and bake,
2 TDs.
Yeah.
First and foremost, surprised by Jason Rossi's performance.
I'm not surprised by Jason Rossi's performance. Jason Rossi does well against teams that are pretty new in this league. So I'm not surprised that he didn't throw an interception. He doesn't tend to throw the ball away. He keeps it very simple. He uses his feet. He rolls around. He'll take a sack if he has to. The only thing is that I expected a little bit more out of them, if anything else.
Well, this was
the entire team.
This was a season high in passing. I mean, this was a fantastic game for him passing-wise. Yeah. And here's the key thing, though. Did not throw an INT, and he's notorious. He's prone to throwing interceptions at like the worst moments,
especially in the red zone. He throws them often in the red zone because he doesn't throw deep. He always throws shorts, and he moves around a lot. So maybe it's a testament to that he doesn't know how to read the field properly. I don't know. Overall, Jason's a good quarterback. He's a good dual quarterback. Reading the defense, not that good at that.
We'll get the U's schedule up here on the Geratron 3000 in mere moments. I've watched the U play twice.
I like them. I
don't
really
know. Are they in the wrong division?
I think they're in the right division. I just think that because you can't, just because they're not doing well in one division doesn't mean they should be in a lower division. I think they would squash a bunch of teams in Division 6. I think their team Yeah, Shaq Lattimore, shake and bake. This guy's amazing.
He's on a 60 rating. We know.
No,
that.
he's on a 60 rating. His speed is he runs like a 4.0.
3.5 with the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just think that.
But just because they're good, just because they're not good, doesn't mean they have to be in a lower division. But they would spank a lot of teams, including my team in Division 6.
Right, which would ruin your MVP stats. But
Exactly.
the point is that wouldn't that be better for them to go back a step and say, listen, let's dominate this division and develop that confidence? Because seeing them play not too long ago in Brossard, I just thought that their confidence started to wane because they couldn't get things moving for them. And I just think playing Div 5, yes, it's not Div 4, Div 3, but it is pretty intense competition.
I mean, we can Shake and Bake is probably their best player. Dustin White is a guy that's first time in the league. He's learning how to play. I think they only have one guy on their team that's experienced in the league. So overall, I think they can do well. They're athletic enough and smart enough and good football players enough to be able to maybe get a few wins, squeak into the playoffs, maybe do some damage.
Junkyard Dogs, do you finally believe in them?
Not this season.
I say no.
Not this season. I mean, they don't have the it factor. They have Jason Kokolakis. He's doing really well this year. They have a few newcomers. Sick tattoo. It's really nice. He copied me, actually.
Yes.
It was my idea.
You wanted that tattoo, right?
Yeah, but he didn't know. He didn't know that I was
Jason Kokolakis, if you ever play against him, Junkyard Dogs has a
great
sick
tattoo.
Sleeve tattoo.
It's really
well
nice.
detailed.
They have a guy like Shane Jackson played last year with them. Very, very defensive, very good. Jason Rossi's I think he's their best player overall. Then you have Floriani that comes in once in a while.
James Floriani, who's banged up right now.
He's banged up right now and more focused on his Division 3 team. I'm not a believer yet. Like they're gonna make it to the playoffs and then they'll get bumped first or second round. I can almost guarantee that.
Any other Div 5 observations from this past week?
Div 5 observations, like we said before the show started, is that it's really top heavy at this point. There's a lot of blowouts. First week, second week, I understand blowouts, but when you're getting to the fourth week, you shouldn't have these kinds of blowouts because
which we'll talk about because
defenses should understand and be able to make adjustments on the fly.
Well, come up next, we'll talk about it. Scoring lack of from some teams, or is it terrible play? We
got a question here from Cole 45.
Oh,
who is most likely to still be undefeated at the end of week 10? Gators, Tomahawk Nightmare, or Griffins?
Well, by the way, it's Griffins.
It's Griffins?
I'm
calling them Griffins. I don't care. Griffins.
We'll talk about that question and more here on You'll Never Walk Alone with Terry Tam, Eagle, GM, who's now in the bullpen, and yours truly. Stay tuned.
Glenlivet.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Easy on the count.
Glenlivet.
So Terry Tam and I are playing little footsies under the table.
Yeah, man.
With our knees.
One of us has a 12. One of us has a 10.5. You decide.
Welcome back to Never Walk Alone with Terry Tam, Eagle, GM, and I. Follow us on Twitter at TerryFPF, at Eagle, Terry Tam FPF, Eagle FPF.
Really.
Juan.
MoCon19, Eagle FPF. You can tweet your questions at Eagle FPF. Let's dive into the next topic here. Scoring, lack of, or terrible play. This year, already through 4 weeks, 18 teams have scored 100-plus points.
18 teams have scored 100-plus points?
Yes.
That's crazy.
13 teams have given up 100-plus points.
Makes sense.
And 3 have scored less than 40, or they're really in the low to mid-30s.
Okay.
We spoke about it off air. I think it's been terrible play and the inexperience of some of these teams who should be really in Div 6 and Div 5.
A lot of these teams are, because the cap system now is that the way we're doing... Mo, you have a question?
Yes.
Right there. A lot of these teams, what they're doing is that especially with the way the cap system works, we come in, you're automatically rated as 60. So the ratings are going a little bit higher. So some teams that maybe deserve to be in Division 6 are automatically in Division 5 because they think that they're better than, let's say, a new team. Let's say a KGB Light example, St. Luke's example. A couple of them have FPF experience, but maybe should be in Division 6.
But you see, I find it, Terry, so far, I mean, I thought Div 5 would be very close because the number of teams may have diluted the competition, but I think it's diluted in the wrong way where it's the top-heavy teams are just blown out.
We thought there was going to be a lot of parity, right?
We really did. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's proving wrong. I mean, we never know. It's only the first half of the season. The second half hasn't even started yet. Yet to see what's to come, but it's getting top-heavy, and all the teams that we mentioned at the beginning of the year, except one, I think, is really running the table right now.
Tomahawk Nightmares.
Tomahawk Nightmare is really doing well.
Yeah.
It's only them. I mean, like GM mentioned in the tweet earlier, Tomahawk Nightmare, Griffins, whatever. And who else is undefeated at this point?
Griffins, Tomahawk Nightmare, GM. We just lost the last two teams.
Gators,
that's right.
Gators and Tomahawk Nightmare were two of my top three teams. I just Keyboard Lock in there. Keyboard Lock throwing way too many interceptions, giving the ball over, losing games. Terrible. They're not playing that well, not playing as well as I thought they would. But those two teams I said were going to be good. Griffins, I'm really not surprised that they're a really good team. Talented across the board. There's no weak spots on that team. So I'm not surprised they're doing well. Can they run the table? Yeah, I think they could. They have a few easy games coming up. But overall, it's going to be a cluster of 8 teams that are going to be able to do well, and we'll see what happens.
From the list I gave you, 18 teams, 100-plus points, 13 have given up 100-plus points. Do you think that ratio changes at some point where you're going to see more, not parity, but you'll see some teams say make up for the deficit, hey, we can score more than we're giving up right now?
Well, it's week 4. Like I said, week 4 is long enough for you to make adjustments and know how to score touchdowns or know how to defend against touchdowns. So do I think it's going to change? No. I think the teams that are shit are going to stay shit, and they're going to finish the year. Yeah, they're going to stay feces and finish the year feces. The teams that are good are going to stay good and finish the year well. I mean, it's the way it's looking right now. Having played in this league for 13 seasons, I can tell that I'm not nominated for the Hall of Fame. That's another thing I mentioned. No. All right.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Choo choo. Overall, I mean, you can tell that what teams are going to do well, and they're just running the table. Tomahawk Nightmare example.
We'll keep a close eye on that as we move along here. Buy or sell. We'll dive into the buy or sell position. We'll get the Geratron 3000 revved up for our stats. By the way, don't forget, you can tweet at Eagle FPF for your questions.
If you don't agree with anything I'm saying, which a few of you guys did and tweeted at me this week, I don't care.
Stay tuned for Terry's lesson of the week. Reference to the St. Luke's roster. Buy or sell? Let's go with the first question here. Buy or sell the QB position not being strong this year in Div 5?
I am selling on that. I think the QB competition is very tough this year with players like JF Marquis running the ball 5. He has 5 touchdowns. He's only thrown away the ball twice, and it was this week against St. Luke's. He's got 17 passing touchdowns, over 700 yards. You got SBB at 211 rushing yards. That's crazy with 4 touchdowns. Still throwing 18 touchdowns. SBB is Simon Bosquet-Baudouin for a good game, well played. Alex Papich, 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions only. And then you have JP Omo with 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions
I'm selling it, Terry.
You're selling it.
Look at the top 10. Look at the INTs alone. You got Krebs at 9 INTs. Alone at 7 for Dope Boys. Rosemont with 10 already.
Well, the way I see now, if it continues like this, we're going to have a really tight race for quarterback of the year. Right? I'm looking at it right now. I think it's going to be JF Marquis because he's very dual. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns and he's got 17.
The Marcus Mariota of Div 5.
Exactly, the Marcus Mariota Div 5.
For those who don't know, Oregon quarterback. But I just think I'm selling it right now. JF Marquis done his damage against weaker teams.
You're right.
And I don't see that.
You're absolutely right about that. The teams that they played against have not been able to score.
No.
FOTC, 13 points. St. Luke's, 6 points.
Yeah.
Top of my head, I can't think of anything. I think I wrote it down. Jagerbomb, 13 points. X-Men, 19. These are not strong teams, so we'll see what gets to come. But that will answer your question later.
I'm selling it right now. I just think the quarterback position isn't as strong as it once was. All right, here we go. Buy or sell. Any Div 5 receiver reaching 700 yards, which is considered to be the elusive mark.
No, I don't think so. So I'm selling on that. Closest we're going to get is Dylan Taylor. Right now he's at 330 with 7 touchdowns for the Black Shirts.
Projection-wise, he could be surpassing that.
He could. I just don't think that the Black Shirts will. I mean, if now we're getting to that point where people are fighting for the playoffs, so they're going to keen in on a guy like Dylan Taylor who gets a lot of yards, maybe start covering short, covering deep, taking away those big plays away from him, and we'll see. I don't think anybody's going to reach there. Second place right now we have Alex Noel of GGWP. 275 yards, not good enough to be able to, not on pace, so I don't think they're going to be able to make it 700 yards. 700 yards is like a real milestone in this league.
I'm selling it. Again, it goes back to the quarterback position, right? Not being as strong, but then you have one or two guys who excel because that's the only go-to target that they have. So I'm selling that. Yeah. Buy or sell Justin Pervion or Phil Warlop, each having 20 sacks this year.
I am buying Phil Warlop and I'm selling on Jerson Pervion. Jerson's playing really well at as a rusher. He's terrible as a receiver, but whatever, as a quarterback.
Talking about the Russian position here.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. Just gotta throw it out there. He's playing really well. He's playing really well at rusher. The only reason why I'm giving it to Phil Warlop is because I'm looking at his next few games. Keyport lock, Jeff Rosenblatt, he doesn't move. Okay, Tyrants, not that good. Okay, Butterfingers, I saw them play. Quarterback doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So if he can squeak out 4 sacks, maybe 3 sacks on each of these games, plus another couple in the last 2 games, then I think he's going to be able to get to 20 sacks.
Both have 8 sacks just before the midway point, so the projection is they would be very close to 20, if not more than 20. Okay, buy or sell.
Actually, the projection is 20.
Yes.
Because it's 2 a game. Yes. They've only played 4 games, so 8 divided by 2 is 4.
Very good, Thierry. I guess those mathematic numbers have helped you at work.
Exactly.
Buy or sell, JS.
I learned good.
Yes, you learn well. Buy or sell, JS St. Pierre of Venom having over 40 INTs. I know it's a terrible stat to bring up, but I mean it's been bad, man, for this team.
He's thrown 19 interceptions. That's worse than me last year. Last year I threw 17 interceptions in 4.5 games. Or 5 games.
Yeah, but you're like Drew Bledsoe. You learn.
It's I get better with age. But
it's just bad. I feel bad for Venom because they should be in Div 6, not Div 5.
Yes, they should be in Div 6.
He's not going to develop and grow in this division.
You know when you never know. You learn, right? You take your mumps, you take your licks, you learn. He's got top season Rednecks, KGP, X-Men, Maximum Carnage, and Gryphons next. 40 interceptions. Listen, I'm going to say something, is that JS, I hope it's not true. But it looks like with that schedule, I think he can get there. But they need to make a change, put somebody else in there if that's the case.
Yeah.
If he hits 25 interceptions, there's no way. But if the season's already lost at that point, you might as well.
Pat LaFave is their next option, I think, at quarterback. Finally, buy or sell. Tomahawk Nightmare having the best defense. We talked about it briefly here, but again, weak competition here. But they've shown the most so far with their defense.
I'm selling it. Only because they've only had a weak competition. Their offense is really good. Their offense is able to score, keep the defense off the field. For the fact that they've played very weak teams, the only strong team they played out of all these guys is FOTC, who know how to run the ball really well. I think he has 4 touchdowns already. No, I think he has 6 touchdowns at San Diego champ for FOTC. 6 rushing touchdowns. They had 6 points against St. Luke's. FOTC 13 points. Jagerbomb 13 points, and X-Men 19 points. Defense, I mean, they should be shutting those teams out if they were any good. If they were any better than what we think they are.
Quickly before we go to break here, ties. There's been a lot of ties in Div 5 this year. Surprised by the number of ties. 10 teams have at least 1 tie, if not more. Some have multiple ties here. Yes, we're both surprised.
Hotline have 2 ties?
I know Cougars have 2 ties.
Cougars have 2 ties?
That's DG Goons have 2 ties. Okay, we were both surprised by the number of ties.
Yeah, of course.
Goes to my next question here. Should teams be more aggressive with their play calling? So if you're down 1, you go for 2 instead of 1?
Yeah. I mean, early in the season, I would say no. If you're more comfortable, I went for 2 this week only because I'm more comfortable with that extra yardage. That's just the way my offense is built. It's the way it is. We like to we need a bigger space to the end zone, let's say. If you're comfortable with going for 1, then go for 1. But early in the season, I don't think so. Late in the season, when you need those points, you need to get the win, then you go for it. But it's tough to say. For every team is different.
Well, you know what? The one thing a tie does, it absolves teams from tiebreakers, essentially.
That too.
However, if you fall in a tiebreaker with a team that's tied, I mean, that kind of...
And especially with 10 ties this year, tiebreakers are really not going to mean anything.
Yeah, it's going to really put a wrench in things.
We'll throw a wrench in your socket.
A little tool time over here. I'll tell you what, man. Looking pretty good over there. Well, come up next, we will do Terry's lesson of the week. This week's lesson towards the St. Luke's. Need to curb
in general, but they just brought it up.
Need to curb your Mark Messier
predictions.
Stay tuned. This is You'll Never Walk Alone with Terry Tam, Eagle, GM the Bullpen, and yours truly, Mocon, in lovely Coast to Coast studios in North Central Eastern downtown Laval. Stay tuned. Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for SAGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
Is he on the count?